Hey there fellows, Buddy's Bike here. This is the second video in the series of cold start procedure for dummies. I'm the dummy and my buddy Quantify will help me cold start this beautiful beast A-18 Hornet. This video is aimed to help people who might not have much experience with clickable cockpit like myself. So this tutorial has been made very easy to follow. Without further ado, enjoy the video fellas. So, we're in the cockpit of the F-18, and once again my buddy Quantify is gonna help me with the F-18 cold start procedure. So, Quantify, thanks for joining me today, and yeah, you're up.
Awesome. So, check over to down and right. So pretty much right in the middle of your screen now, just above that knob, you have a switch that says BAT. So just above that knob. And
BAT. Okay, finally.
So if you right-click that, that will switch on your battery.
Alright.
Now you've got battery power, and you can go ahead and close the canopy. So to do that, just hold left Control C, so the canopy shuts completely. Down it comes.
Nice.
Perfect. And there is no need to lock the canopy in this aircraft.
Okay, what is this for? Canopy jet.
That is a canopy jettison. So say you're stuck on the ground and you don't want to eject, you'd push in that button and you'd pull it back, and that'd eject the canopy, and then you could climb out.
It would eject the canopy, but not the seat. Got it.
Yes. So if this aircraft actually has an APU. So if you take over to the left, so it's sort of to the left and behind the throttle, you have APU.
APU, got it.
So you can flick that on and wait for that green light to come on.
Okay.
This sequence is a bit more involved than the F-16 since it's a bit of an older airframe.
So for the F-16 we do not have APU, is it?
The F-16 has a pair of jet start canisters, and they basically just it's a bit complicated, but basically it doesn't need an APU since it provides all of the airflow it needs itself, and then those canisters will recharge themselves based on dry motoring, etc.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't need an APU.
Alright.
It does have an EPU, which is emergency power unit, but that switches on to provide power in emergencies.
Right.
So if we take a look back at the APU switch, just below that you'll have an engine crank. So I say below. In reality, it's over to the left.
Crank?
Right click that, and you'll start cranking your right engine. I'm sure you know, right engine first.
Alright.
So
yes.
Below the
okay, we have RPM increasing, okay.
Yes, so that RPM is now stabilized, so click right shift and home. And that will move the right throttle to idle.
Okay.
Should be
so
right
it's like unlocking the throttle, okay.
Yes, now you've just allowed fuel into the engine. You can see it's obviously spilling up more.
Right.
The parking brake is already on, so we don't need to worry about that.
Right. Alright, so the right engine is at idle, right? It's at required RPM.
So now that engine crank switch should have moved back. So now you can left click it to move it to the left position.
Right.
And it's going to do the same for the left engine. So wait for the RPM to get to 25% and then left alt home. Sorry, correction, right alt home. And bang, right alt home.
Right alt home. Okay.
And there it goes. So you don't need to worry about turning off the APU, it'll do it automatically after a few minutes.
Okay.
So you should have electricity and such now.
We can turn off the MFDs?
Yes, so the button to turn them on is actually above the MFD. You're turning a contrast knob.
Oh.
So right there, right click that twice to go to day. And then
wait a little?
Yeah, it may take a little while. And then on the left,
right,
you've got your less MFD, do the same on that. And then your bottom.
It's like turning on an old television, you know?
Basically, they're really old displays. And then the bottom one is a newer display, so that should be a little bit quicker. Just needs a bit of time to warm up. So if you hold your left mouse, and just drag up, it will turn it straight to bright. There you go. So that one's actually a full color display. The button, the screens on the left and right, they can use color, but they're primarily green. So when you have your radar page, you might see red and green outlines, but the bottom one works in full color all the time.
Okay, so it seems the engine is completely started up. Okay, let me just increase the
so
RPM
now we
to
have a few
test it.
warnings.
Alright.
No need to do that yet. So now we have a few warnings on the left MFD. We just quickly explain what those mean. Flaps off, is obvious. Ailerons off is also obvious. FCS is just a general flight control system warning.
Right.
INS attitude and INS degraded means that your inertial navigation system is not working. So to do that, we actually need to turn it on. So if you look in the same place as the F-16 has it, over to the right, right there. It's under sensor, so you have a radar knob and INS knob.
Yeah, INS knob and radar knob.
As soon as if you right-click radar twice to turn it to operational, and then right-click INS twice to turn it to ground. Now, as soon as you do this, look at your bottom display, and if you just move a little bit out of the way of the stick, there you go. So on the bottom row of buttons, you have STD, HTG.
Yeah.
Click that. Basically, what that's doing is instead of your aircraft having to work out what direction it's pointing, based on sort of the wobble of the Earth, it's doing that off a heading you give the aircraft, so it's much quicker.
Right.
So while that starts to align, it's going to take 1.5 minutes again. Obviously, make sure not to move the aircraft during that. We can start some other stuff. So on your right display, see how we've got some annoying flashing?
Yeah.
We can get rid of that by just clicking stop.
Right.
So we don't really need to do any tests. If you want to, you can, but in DCS, you know what, everything works perfectly anyway.
Alright.
So we can just get straight to
yeah, we can straight to that, yeah.
So, over on the bottom left, you see how there's a couple big red switches of covers?
Yeah.
The one in the middle, just beneath that is a reset button.
Yeah.
Hold that for 1 second. There you go, and let go. And
FCS,
then just
okay.
above that, yeah, and then that should have cleared some of the warnings. It won't change anything on that panel. So then, just above that button that you just pushed, yeah, right there. It's a bit confusing. It's a knob with a button in the middle, and that button is basically takeoff trim. So you've just trimmed the aircraft for takeoff.
Right,
so if we look behind us,
this is trim reset, okay.
Yeah, so if we look behind us, you should see that the stabilizers actually behind us, like outside the aircraft. You should see that the stabilizers are sort of pointed up.
Yeah, like air brakes.
And then the rudders, are like canted in, and that just helps the aircraft get off the ground.
Okay.
Now the only thing left to do is wait, and we can clear up a few other things. Look at the right of the seats, so on the actual right of the seat.
You mean this one? Or
Just
manual right handle? Above that?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
So if you push that down, you've now armed the ejection seat.
Okay. So now we check? I'm just kidding.
Ideally not. That'd probably annoy everyone. So, below the right MFD, again, you have the artificial horizon. It's the exact same thing as in the F-16. Just rotate the spinny knob until that red cage indicator goes away. On this one, there isn't any indicator as to where it's stabled, where it's centered, so you just have to center it yourself.
So this is center?
So you just have to center it so that it's right in the middle. Yeah.
So this is correct, right? Okay.
That's perfect. And then your heads-up display needs to come on. So below that keypad.
Yes.
Directly below it, a bit to the left, you've got a brightness indicator, a brightness switch rather, brightness knob rather. Sorry. Go ahead and turn that up.
So crisp. Okay.
So a few more things we need to switch on. One of them is so that we don't die of suffocation. We need to turn on the oxygen generation system.
Oh, okay.
So in the F-16 it's automatic, in this one it's not. So if you look over to the left, far left, right at the left you've got a little switch that says O-box. So
oxygen flow. This one?
And then above that.
Okay.
Click that one. There you go. So the generator is now on.
Alright. So for how long does the oxygen cylinder actually last?
It's pretty much indefinite, really. You're never gonna run into a limitation in DCS. I can't remember how long it runs in real life. I'll check that for you.
Okay. So we could actually test, like, if you're like 30,000-40,000 feet, and we turn that off, does the guy actually suffocate?
I believe he may start to black out. I can't remember whether that's an X-Plane thing or DCS thing. Either way, it is a functional switch apparently.
Okay.
I've never really turned it off, so I wouldn't know.
We can only find out it is functional if the guy would actually suffocate. Otherwise, you can't see oxygen. You can't see oxygen in the air.
There is actually a cabin pressure indicator below the bottom MFD. It's normally obscured by the stick a bit, so it's right in the bottom right. You have a cabin.
Yeah, I see.
I'm sure you know how this works if you fly commercial airliners. It just shows the pressure altitude inside the cockpit.
So right now it's
0 because we're at sea level. So as you climb, that'll increase, but it shouldn't really go above 10,000 feet.
Right.
So that is technically all we need to do to get off the ground. What we could do is a lot more stuff, like data link, IFF, turn on the radar warning receiver. The only things left are just a couple like regular things. So next to your landing gear lever, which is in the same place as the F-16, just below that we have a flap switch. Set that to half.
Yeah. Now I think it's at half.
Perfect. And then just to the bottom left of that, you have landing taxi light.
Landing taxi light.
Smash that on, and then just to the bottom left of that, you have hook bypass. Click that to set it to field.
Alright.
So basically the aircraft is now aware it's operating off a airfield. Cool.
So what if it's... how is it different at the carrier position? How is it different?
I believe hook bypass is just to control warnings. I will check it right now actually. Yep, the lighted symbols flash if the arresting hook is up, and the hook bypass switch on the left vertical panel is in carrier, so it's just a setting to give you a warning if your hook isn't down. Okay, awesome. So that is technically everything we need. We do need to check the INS is aligned though. So in the bottom panel, you have your INS, on the bottom screen, sorry, you have your INS alignment status. So it says it's aligning on ground. Quality is 0.5, which is okay, and it's been running for 7.5 minutes now, which is obviously more than enough.
Right.
So we can go ahead and set that to IFA. So if you look back at your INS knob...
Wait, where was the INS knob? Is it at the right side?
Yep, on the right. That's knob on the right. Right click that twice to set it to IFA. Essentially, IFA will continually adjust itself to keep itself accurate, and INS will naturally degrade over time, since it's taking measurements from where the aircraft is pointed, how fast it's going, etc. So it can't always be 100% accurate. This basically constantly updates itself via the via either the radar system or via GPS. In this case, we have GPS. So that's everything we need to do. You can check because we don't have any warnings, and if you wiggle the flight controls around on the right screen, if you click menu, and then click that again, and then on the right bottom right, click FCS.
Alright.
Wiggle the stick around, and you should see that some of those numbers are going to change. So on that right screen, see those numbers moving?
Yeah, it's like the input indicator.
Yeah. That's basically fly-by-wire, yeah. So then if you obviously look outside the airplane, you should be able to see that, yes, they're all moving. We're fine. So you can see the slats are down as well. So yeah, we're ready. On this one, you do have to disengage the parking brake yourself. It's an old airframe. So parking brake is right there. Big yellow handle. Not that one. There you go. So if you just click that,
parking brake's up.
So nozzle steering is already on, so we're sorted. So just gently move her.
Alright, it's on. So let me just check where the runway is.
So in the Hornet, the nozzle steering button is if you just sort of hold the stick. If you hold the stick naturally, where your pinky would, where your pinky finger would rest, there's a little button there. If you click that, that cycles nozzle steering. Now if you hold it, it goes into nozzle steering high gain, and that's used on carriers. It's a bit tricky to use at first, but it lets you move at much tighter angles.
Oh, okay, I got it. It's like in the F-16. Sorry, in the F-15, I remember.
Yes, I think it's just higher gain normally then. The F-18 needs to make tighter turns, so it's obviously going to be...
But I remember this, it was also in the F-15, because it's not in the Su-33. So when I was trying to taxi the F-15, I was like, yeah. Whoa!
The brake button.
Hold on, it's okay. I did not find the brake button.
So anyway, now's a good time to check that your brakes work. There you go. And takeoff trim is already set.
So we're starting from half of the runway. Let's hope it is enough. And let me just check flaps. Flaps are at half,
Flaps to
and
half.
we're good. Okay.
So nozzle steering comes off at like 80 knots in Hornet.
All right.
In the Viper, it's a bit earlier since it accelerates, so
Brakes off.
fast.
No. And full throttle.
Oh, your ejection seat wasn't armed actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the viewers will find out what happened. Okay. Okay, rotating, and we're up. Oh, that was quite a short runway needed. Okay, and gears up, and flaps up. I totally forgot to place the F-18 on a carrier to take off from the aircraft carrier. But if you want a carrier takeoff and landing procedure video, do let me know in the comments below. The next startup procedure video will be for the A-10. So make sure you keep an eye on this channel. As always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Buddy Spike out.